Thank you. Oh, it is my honor. Thank you. It's my honor for every day. Thank you.
All right, and welcome back to Hot Marriage Cool Parents. We are so pumped. Oh my gosh, it's official. We are in our new house now.
Yes, and we are in a new podcast room, which is not going to be our podcast room.
This is the kids' makeshift, well, it's not a makeshift playroom, but it kind of is. It's Hendrix's makeshift bedroom.
Yeah.
So,
because there's a dark cave hole that he's sleeping in his pack and play right now.
Yeah, and so the first time ever we're doing these behind the scenes. Not the first time ever, actually. We used to do it, and then
Usually it was on our bed.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like the YouTube video behind the scenes.
Right.
We did it a couple times when we first launched our podcast like years ago, and turns out, we just got lazy and didn't really continue to do the video aspect of it because it takes work and we didn't have an editor and all that jazz. But Family Made's awesome because they have an amazing editor. Shout out to Matt.
Yes.
And he helps whip these behind the scenes videos together. So maybe we'll send him a picture of where our son is sleeping right now. So those of you who are listening, if you want to see, or if you follow me on Instagram, you probably already saw. But we're in their playroom, and it was the first room that we made sure was 100% clean and safe for the kids out of this whole house that we just bought, because it's the closest to
one of the bedrooms that has flooring that we couldn't rip up because most of the house had carpet that we ripped up, and there's one section of the house that has these older tiles. So we decided that was going to be our place where we're going to sleep. This room is right next door. It has a big walk-in closet where Jamie and our help has organized all the toys, it's the first time that I've seen organization with all the toys that they have.
I really don't like it when you say our help. That's just a weird way to say it.
Our assistants.
I don't even know if you want to say that. Like they're like our friends, and I don't know. It's odd. I feel like I grew up.
Yeah, but you don't. I mean, we pay them.
We do pay them. I don't want to say they're not our help, though.
Okay.
I mean, they are helping us, but I feel like that just sounds.
I didn't mean that to be bougie. They help us. I
know. Well, it sounds. I don't know if that sounds.
Friends
degrading.
that help.
Is that degrading?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I like they're honestly, inevitably, anyone who comes into our life
becomes part of the family.
Yeah, and so I feel like to call them help is just, I don't know, that just sounds not as, they're so meaningful to us. Like I feel like the lawn guys who cut our lawn, they're not even help. Like they're also awesome. And like, what would we do without them? Because our lawn would be overgrown and it'd be a forest, you know?
Okay.
But anyways, yeah.
I
So
don't use that term anymore.
Sorry, I have big feelings about that. Apparently, I didn't realize until you said it like that, though, and I was like, wait a minute. I don't know what you call someone who you hire your assistant, but then it's like they become like family. And what was that?
Our new soundboard.
You and the switchboard that you love. Okay, we went way off on a tangent, and the first thing we usually do is give a 5-star review shout out, and like truly blown away by the 5-star reviews that have been coming in. Thank you so much. It means the whole wide world to us, truly, just to know that like when we put something out there, it's actually meaningful and that it's actually helping you, because otherwise it's kind of pointless to even do this. I mean, the whole point of this podcast is, well, for Doug and I to have some like a chat uninterrupted. We really don't sit down and talk to each other like this unless it's the podcast, because we have, otherwise you have to like schedule that time into your schedule. And like right now we're renovating a house. We're trying to rent out our old house.
So many distractions.
We have 2 kids. There's a million other things. If we get a little bit of time alone, it's going to be trying to make a baby in like a bedroom that no one's in. And it's not going to be to sit down and have a heart to heart talking about,
anything and everything.
Yeah. So the podcast is great for us for that reason.
But it is reassuring when you guys do leave your comments and reviews. It helps us. It helps us, focus our content on what you guys really like and also share our stories. But we also want to get to know you guys. So this is a great way for some of you to get on the podcast.
Yeah. So Doug is going to give a read for the 5-star review he chose for this week.
Yes. So this comes from Laurette1, who writes, "Hanging on. So proud of you guys. God has truly blessed your lives. You kept up the good work and supporting each other. That's what it's all about. Not giving up. Now look at what you have done. So glad you are back with your podcast. You are so open and truthful. Can't wait for the next episode.
Aw, thank you, Lorette.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just reading all of the reviews, we read every single one, and it's just been so encouraging and loving. So thank you guys.
It was nice getting some reviews for a while.
Yeah, because
we haven't seen any new reviews because we haven't had our podcast out yet.
Yeah, so it's really awesome. We're really, really thankful because I know, we're all living busy lives, and so the fact that you stop to write a review for us is it's really meaningful, and it's a nice way to connect with you. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and talk about meaningful though. Obviously the, opening up and sharing about my personal struggles and my journey with addiction and kind of overcoming it. Like Jamie had said, I was scared, I was nervous, I was ashamed. There was a lot of anxiety that was built up in sharing it because I've never shared it outside of except my family and friends and people that have known me. But after sharing something like that, there is a waiting period of, well, how is this going to be perceived and how is this going to be received? And I got to tell you that the amount of love and support and messages that you guys have sent out was it really touched my heart. Like it was really, really encouraging and supportive. And I just wanted to say thank you because, there are people out there that this does affect, and my hesitation to share, hopefully, this, any addiction, it's a battle, it's a disease, but if you don't tell anybody, if you don't talk about it, then it's a slippery slope to death. Yeah. Or, in trouble with the law. Like there is no happy outcome to addiction ever, other than conquering it. And that's the journey that I'm on now. But, you start to share and then you realize, well, that wasn't so hard.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm so proud of you because, you kept it secret for so long, even from me. And so I knew, obviously I was really hurt and angry, and I went through all these emotions when I found out about it. And also I felt like I couldn't trust you because you kept it a secret from me for so long. And
because I was ashamed of it for so long.
Yeah.
And, whether subconsciously I thought that it would, it would make me weak. And I think I even shared in our first podcast episode back, I was the captain of every team that I've been on. Sports, I was always the leader. I was always the one that people would go to. That's the role that I stepped in. But when you're a leader, when you're a captain, when you have people that look up to you, you have to, it's right or wrong. I hid a lot of my faults. I always wanted things to be fine. I always had the impression that everything's going to work out. I still do, but when things are bad, and you don't turn to anybody, it could start to get worse. And I never had anybody to share it with. I knew I had people to share it with. I never shared it.
Yeah. I think that I'm so proud of you, even just sitting here listening to you, because you said when you're the leader and everyone looks up to you, you have to, and then you stopped yourself because you don't have to hide these things. You really don't. Just because you're the leader and just because you're, the captain does not mean that you don't make mistakes, that you don't have difficult days. And I think the best leaders and the best people who are captains of their teams and the most influential people are the people who can share their mishaps and share their journey, because they're helping other people realize that it's okay to share when you're struggling or you're suffering or you've fallen under, whether it's like financial debt or it's, like an eating disorder. There's all sorts of different things that we all, it could be, the gamut runs, that the things that we hide and shame and fear that then we're going to look down upon, when really, if we can open up and share it, I can't believe truly the amount of people who follow us who are either also on Suboxone, or I don't even know if I say that right, Suboxone?
Yeah, same.
Who are also on that, who have struggled with addiction or who have known someone.
Yeah.
I am genuinely shocked by that because I didn't know that. And I don't think anybody would have ever told us, because they probably also hid in shame and not, and then for the select few that were like, I'm on that and it has saved my life and I'm proud of it. I'm like, good for you. And thank you for sharing that, because obviously you were struggling for so long to be able to share that, and to hear another person say, yeah, I'm on that too. And I'm not ashamed. I'm proud that that's helping me stay clean. Yeah. It's so good for you to hear that.
It really is. And, it's, no addict wants to openly share, at some point. No addict wants to admit that they're an addict. But when you don't admit it, you can't get help. You can't grow. You can't move forward. But you also can't build a support system that knows what you're going through and knows, they've been in your shoes or they're going through. And just having that support system is really, really important to any recovery. So let's talk about family health and immune support. And for any parents of little ones, once school starts up, your kids are coming home with any number of viruses, sicknesses, and many of us can't afford a sick day or even having to stay home to take care of someone that's sick, which is why I'm very excited to partner with our friends at Needed. Needed Immune Support is a product that can support the entire family, kids over 1 year old, adults. It's even safe for pregnant or nursing women and safe to take year round. Super easy to take. It's absolutely delicious. It's an elderberry powder that you mix with water. You could even mix it into your favorite food or drink for any of those picky eaters, but it offers year-round immune support. It has no added sugar, includes zinc, elderberry, pre- and postbiotics in dosages that are clinically studied, safe, and effective, and supports a healthy gut where 70% of your immune system resides. Jamie and I love it. Henley and Hendrix love it. Go to thisisneeded.com and use the code HMCP for 20% off your first order. That's thisisneed.com and use the code HMCP for 20% off your first order. Thisisneeded.com. So far I've had a couple shots of that new medication, Sublocade.
I wanted to ask you and also celebrate with you that it's been 4 weeks today since you've kind of come out of the closet and shared that you've struggled with this opioid addiction. And how are you feeling?
It was, you build up these stories in your head. And I think that's like with any big decision or with anything that you're holding on to, you start to imagine, how it's going to be, what people are going to say, and I genuinely feel happy that I did it. I do. And I feel like I'm not hiding a part of me anymore, which, I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
But, when you share things, people get to know you more. And I think what was so scary to me or for me was, I was always set in, I have a great group of friends. I have a great family that know me. There's parts that I didn't want to talk about. I didn't want to relive or go into it. And so I wouldn't make new friends because there was a part that you don't want people to know about, or you don't want to spend time having to go through the whole story again and again and again. And, it's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to close yourself off to pretty much the world.
But in your defense, I remember when we were newly married and I knew about the opioid addiction. I didn't know that you were still on Suboxone. Right. And I had just written my book, Wifey 101. And I also had a jewelry line, Jamie Otis Jewelry. And we were at like one of those festival type things where I had a little tent set up. If you've been following me forever, then you probably remember when I would go and I'd pop up a tent and I would...
Little kiosk.
Yeah, and it was so fun. Big Doug and Bonnie would come and we would sell my jewelry and my book and we would just get to know like some fans. And, it was just so fun. But I remember this one in particular. We went and it was in your hometown and there was a guy there. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah. I don't know if I remember where you're going with it.
So there was a guy there who you knew from when you were addicted, and he and his wife or girlfriend were there. I remember this vividly because I was newly married to you. I didn't know that you were on Suboxone. I knew that you had some addiction but I didn't know, like, you hid it so much from me. You never wanted to talk about it. His family didn't talk to me about it. Like, they would talk about it in front of me and then say, well, that's for Doug to talk to you about. And I'm like, okay, true, but I am now his wife and I'm standing by him. Like, I need to know what's going on. But I was really kept in the dark over all of this. I mean, and now that I look back, I'm like, that is so hurtful for me, but I'm going to just move on. Not even so much from you, but even from your family, to like talk about it in front of me. Well, then
it's more
be hush hush about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's less about you. It's more about, that was more about me and what I was sharing. And
I get that.
And I get where you're coming from. I think that there's also, parts where, you're like, I wouldn't want to like with my brother's wife, if there was something that we were talking about and she was just like, what, I would feel uncomfortable saying it about my brother without my brother saying it to his wife.
I get that. But going back to the story, this guy was there and he said something along the lines of, he thinks you're using again because you were so skinny. And you were irate. You're a very calm, even-keeled, patient, like fun-loving guy. That was like one of the first times I've seen you really have like an opinion about something. You're usually like go with the flow, but you were livid and you were just so angry that this guy, and I was like, why do you, like, who is he? Like, why do you even care? Yeah. But, and then it kind of just all dawned on me that that's why you don't talk about it, because then people will be judging you. If you lose weight, you're using. If well, honestly, then there was times, and we've talked about this on the podcast, where you disappeared. And I'm like, is he cheating on me? Is he using drugs? I don't know, because you didn't ever open up and share about these things. And so it's a kind of a double-edged sword when you don't open up and share about these things. Our dog is trying to get in.
Oh, is that?
That's definitely
it's like, what is that scratching?
But it's a double-edged sword when you don't share about these things, because then it seems like you're hiding so much more,
Yeah, that was a tipping point for me, because, and I think what was happening in my mind was, when it came to sharing, and, when I think when people, like I have a I don't know how to say it. Like, for a lot of my life, I took care of my body, meaning I was going to the gym, I was working out. I think once I graduated college, or even when we first got married, I was about 220 pounds, but I was religiously going to the gym.
You went to the gym so much, I was like, can you not go to the gym? Yeah. You spend 4 hours there. And I'm like, am I going to see you tonight after work?
But for some people, when they go to the gym, or if they're working out and then they stop working out, they gain weight. For me, it's the opposite. If I stop working out, I shrink. A skinny weight, even now, is uncomfortable for me. I don't like being this weight, but it is so hard for me to gain weight. And the stigma that gets built up is anybody that is on drugs, usually they're going to like just shrivel and shrink into being something frail. For me, at that time, I had been clean for so long. Well, I shouldn't say so long, but I had been clean. Like, haven't touched anything other than the medication that I was on. And for someone to make the accusation that I was still using really hit a nerve. And one, it was on me for not sharing or not dealing with it. Like, that's just what you're going to have to deal with. But also, nobody knew that I was really clean. Anybody outside my friends and family, nobody knew that I was clean.
How did that guy even know that you were using?
Because a lot of people knew that I was into pain pills.
How did they know?
Just from being around town. Like, like it was, my friends had, they brought my family in to do a little intervention. which is, when I said my friends, saved my life, I mean, they brought it to light. But there was also like, it was just known. It was, like little, like gossip, like, people that smoke weed, like
somehow I'm never in the know. I never know when someone does that or,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know my own mother all throughout high school. I knew she was gone a lot. I knew that it took my siblings to tell me. And I was like, no, our mom can't be using. Like, she told us to never be addicted to anything. Yeah.
And I mean, I think there was some of that because I was a very popular kid in high school. I was really good at sports. I, played at a very high level in baseball. So a lot of it was, it was almost like shock, like, oh, Doug went that route. So there was, just gossip like that. That was going around. But when I started to lose weight, that stigma of not sharing and the stigma of, someone being an addict, that's what happens is you imagine this person that's just kind of like shrinking and just skin and bones. And that's how it is. And, yes, I lost weight and, it still bothers me. And it, especially in the beginning when people started to really notice, like when we were having Henley, where I lost a lot of weight. For me, it was just not going to the gym, but in my head, it was, like, oh, here it goes again. People are going to start to think that I'm using, or, what's wrong with him, or does he have a disease, or, is he sick? A lot of that really bothered me. And for this person to say it, who I knew, it just really struck a nerve. And, it's just on me for not coming to terms with it. Like, this is just a part of me now. I wasn't comfortable talking about it. I wasn't comfortable. And, there was a part of me that wanted to just sort of spin the story or try to convince him that I wasn't. But then, like, what does that even do? Like, at some point it's like, who cares?
How did we even know that that he thought you were using still? Did he tell you or something?
No, he told my friends. I think it was like he spoke to my friend Tim or Darren or something like that. And then they told you? Yeah, they called and told me.
Ugh.
Yeah. So it was kind of like one of those things. Like I remember even in the beginning when, anybody would accuse me. And so but that was also the thing too, is like I used by myself. I never used in front of my friends. Like we would smoke weed together, but anything else other than drinking and smoking weed, I did by myself.
How do people know then?
None of my friends were into it, at all.
Thank God. Otherwise it could have been, I feel like you could have stayed in the addiction. If you had someone else who was into it, that would have only encouraged you to stay into it as well.
Yeah. But there's also, when you hide it though, there's no one to call you out on your BS. There's no one to say like, this is getting out of hand, because nobody knew about it until, until some signs started to show where, I was staying in, I wasn't going out, or if I did go out, I was loopy because I was on drugs. Like, but I did all that by myself. And, if you don't have anybody and you do that, you start to go into your own little bubble, and then you don't have anybody that can tell you that it's getting out of hand. A lot of the story that got out was already in Jamie's book that she wrote, Wifey 101, Everything I Got Wrong After Finding Mr. Right, which is available on Amazon. It's a fantastic read, very quick book, but it also highlights everything from Jamie's childhood, and a whole entire chapter is dedicated to my addiction and dependency issues, which kind of sheds a little bit more information on the background. But anybody that hasn't checked out Jamie's book, it's Wifey 101, Everything I Got Wrong After Finding Mr. Right, available on Amazon. It's amazing.
Well, on the note of the fact that you have trouble gaining weight and you feel insecure about that and you really don't like, people still to this day say, Doug is so skinny since you guys got married.
I hate being this skinny. I do.
And it's funny because now, of course, I'm bigger than when we got married. Yeah. And it's just interesting how people it's like, do you not know that after it's been a decade. It's been like a solid decade and a few months. Our bodies change. That's just what happens. Like, I'm not going to look the same as when I got married. And obviously my husband I feel like it's more common for men and just women in general to gain weight, but you go the opposite direction. And so, which I do think though, after you're off all of this medication, and I wanted to ask you like where you're at with your medication, but I think that once you're off it, I think you're going to gain a little weight because of course that's a side effect.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But and you do a lot of the body positivity stuff, and it's even being skinny, it's you can't really tell people that it's so hard for you to gain weight.
I know. Because then they're like, I wish I could have that problem.
I wish I had that problem.
And I do. It's opened my heart because I do a lot of the body positivity. Like, I'm really big on, and it's not about if you're fat and embrace yourself. It's not. It's like
it's being comfortable fat, in your skin.
Yes, it's if you're fat, you're skinny, you're average, whatever it is. Just embrace and love yourself. But it's been really eye-opening for me to hear someone that I love so much struggle with body image in the opposite capacity of what the average is. Like, usually people are struggling because they've gained weight or they have more wrinkles or there's stretch marks and whatnot because I'm a woman. So that's like what I hear mostly. But then to hear my husband say, and actually he's not the only one, our new assistant / like becoming like one of my really good friends, Kirsten.
Not help.
Yeah, not the help. I will not ever call her that. She also, loses weight when she gets stressed out and stuff. And she was proud of her. So she's like, I can tell I'm doing really well right now because I've gained some weight. And like my first reaction is like, man, I wish I had that problem, but I don't say it anymore because you helped me realize that that's like offensive. Like, that's like if it's just not kind, And so anyway, so that's the great thing about being open and honest about. I mean, everyone has something to learn. But needless to say, 4 weeks and you are free from taking Suboxone, and now you're taking the Sublocade. And I know that this last dose that you got was really, really painful for you.
Yeah, I'm still feeling it. So for anybody that's just listening now, it's instead of taking Suboxone, it's an injection that goes into your stomach, and it builds a layer, or it's like a gel that slowly dissipates as time goes on. But supposedly there's a 4-month or 4 shot cycle that you go through, and then you're done, and then you're off. The first shot that I got, I still have like a little lump in my stomach. I was surprised how well it worked. The second shot that I got, though, they did in a different area of my stomach. And I don't know, I mean, for when you lay back, how like you're skinny, like the shot, it's like an 1.5 inch needle. And, she propped up my skin and stuck it through, but then, my stomach flattens out. And I almost think like, did she go through too many layers of my stomach? Because it didn't hurt like that in the beginning. I couldn't stretch my left arm up, and I couldn't really throw or play softball where it was uncomfortable.
I mean, you were in a lot of pain.
I still feel it, and it's been a little bit, but, I haven't had the need or felt any need to use Suboxone.
Which is a miracle.
Which is an absolute miracle.
And you haven't had any withdrawals.
Nothing. Nothing at all. And, there's, after the 4th shot, it's kind of like that's when supposedly you're done, and, there's no precipitated withdrawals. There's nothing that happens after. It's just like you just go. So, it's pretty awesome. And
the reason that we want to share about this is because for 10 years you've been on Suboxone, longer than 10 years, and you didn't even know that there was a way out. You had no idea.
Well, I knew there was a way out, but the way out was slowly tapering off the medication.
Which then caused you to have withdrawals.
And then suffering through, you're going to go through a couple weeks or a couple months of hell. Or at least that's what I built up in my head. I know it's different for everybody, but being so far in and it's like your little safety net. You know that you can just continue on. And I lowered the dose from when I was first on, and I was on a very, very low dose before I started this other program. But when you taper down, and you're going to go through some at the end, and you're going to have to. And for me, that
go through some withdrawals.
Yeah, so some withdrawals, and you'll have that. Your body will have to adjust and go through. And I wasn't mentally ready for that, because for as busy as we got, and I don't want this to sound like an excuse, but for me to take a couple weeks off is a little bit unrealistic. And
also, just as being a parent,
yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't want our kids to see you going through withdrawals.
Yeah,
that's just odd.
It would be, and I don't know how bad it would be, but after so many years, you just get used to taking it. And it wasn't until our RV trip and getting back where I was just like, I need to be done with this. I hate the chase at the end of the month where I have to fill it. I need to be out. And, I think that's what when people go through their addiction and get clean, I think that's what happens to a lot of people when they do get clean. It's like, there's a point where you're mentally done, and you realize, and it's like you become aware of, what you're doing, and you just don't want it anymore. And that's the point that I got with this medicine. And, so I never knew that this other drug existed. So I'm really being positive and knowing that it's going to work out. And even if it does go through, even if I do go through any withdrawals at the end or something, I know it's temporary.
Yeah.
At this point, I just need to be off. And so I'm really happy with how it's been working out. But yeah, that second shot was a bitch.
Yeah, that was hard for me to see because you were in so much pain.
Yeah.
But that is, for anyone who's listening who knows someone who is on Suboxone and is trying to get off it, I feel like we didn't know for so long. Like, all we thought was that he was going to have to go through these withdrawals, and there was just never a time when he could just have a month where he could just go through withdrawals and leave society for a month, which God bless the people who can afford to go to like the rehab treatments and the clinics and whatnot, because that's awesome, but that wasn't functional for our family. So he just kept taking the Suboxone until we moved to Florida, and he had no choice but to get a new doctor. And the new doctor that he found was like, oh yes, there's this way to come off. And it was like the heavens opened up, and we were both like, what? There's a different medication that can get you off this? This is amazing. So we're really thankful. And I think the biggest reason for me kind of encouraging you to share is that there are probably so many other people out there who also are like, wanting to get off and wanting to break free, but just not knowing the answer. And why isn't that more common knowledge? Like, I don't know. It should be way more common knowledge than just writing a prescription for this medication.
I don't know. I don't know if it's intended for that. Meaning, like, I think the intention is that you keep using it. But I don't know. I did my own research on it and had a lot of reviews and a lot of people that would say, after the third, after the fourth shot, I'm done. And that's it. So I'm sold. All right.
That's amazing. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, I can't wait.
We should probably plan a couple days though, where you can just, after the last shot, where we should just try to make sure that whole month we're not too out of town or anything, just in case, so that you're not you can be comfortable in your own home.
Well, so the regimen is every 26 to 29 days. So we really won't know
until 26 days after.
Yeah, until about a month after.
So that month we should try to stay home and just in case.
Yeah, wishful thinking.
Yeah, but hey, you haven't had any issues. So.
No, I haven't, which is great. Even towards the end of the first shot, before I got the second shot, it was fine. And a lot of the mental habits that you have, you start to move away from, because now you don't wake up and have something as part of your schedule.
Yeah.
And your day, and go to bed, and now it's done.
You have a very, very, very addictive personality, in the sense that even your walk with our dog every morning, if you miss it, you just don't like that. You like the same things, eating the same things. You don't even stray from the dessert that you like.
Yeah. It's a little bit of OCD too. I was very superstitious as a baseball player. Like I don't like odd numbers. I have to have all the volumes and everything on an even number.
Which now I have to do the same thing. Like if we're in the car and I turn it to 13, I switch it up to 14 because he doesn't like it.
Yeah, I don't like splitting poles.
Yeah, so if we're walking the dog and then there's like a light pole and I walk on the right side of it and he walks on the left side, he will not follow through that left side walk. He will turn around and come back and walk on the right side of the pole.
I mean, there were even times where I had to touch my glove, my baseball glove a certain way, or on our bus trip to go play another college team, my eyes would be fixated out of the bus to look for a white horse.
A white horse?
A white horse, because a white horse always meant that you would get 2 hits in my head.
What?
Yeah. Very strange. Very weird.
That is very strange. And then the other thing he does is every yellow light, he has to hit the ceiling of the car.
And lift my feet over railroad tracks.
Yeah. Like, I mean, without fail. And
I hold my breath driving past the graveyard.
I mean, these are like childhood superstitions, like the whole lift your feet up over the railroad and like holding your breath over the graveyard. Like, these are all childhood superstitions that never followed me, but they have followed you.
Well, it was funny too, because one of my best friends, Tim, he took a few psychology classes in college, and I think he went to be a psychology major. I don't know, but he started studying that, and because noticed my OCD tendencies, and he asked me one day. He goes, if you don't do those things, or if if something happens where somebody has to leave it on an odd number, what does that do to you? And I go, I become fixated on it and I want to change it. And he goes, well, do you think something bad will happen? I go, well, yeah, I just think it gives me bad luck. And he goes, yeah, that's the worst part.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that's the worst part of the OCD.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when he's like, yep, I'm diagnosing you.
I wonder if now that you're slowly coming off this, the Suboxone and like the drug addiction and whatnot, if maybe your OCD will get better as well. Could you imagine? That'd be amazing.
No, it was worse. It was way worse before
the drugs.
Yeah. I mean, playing baseball and sports, like I was very superstitious, and it was just things that sort of carried on, because I equate a lot of the OCD stuff and the little quirks and things I do, I equate with having good luck.
Well, you forgive me for being religious, but I'm like, you just need some Jesus. You need God in your life.
I know
seriously.
it sounds silly, but I know now nothing major will happen if the volume is left on an odd number, but I just always feel like it's just good karma for some reason.
That's so funny.
Speaking about people that were happy that we brought our podcast back.
We were not just speaking about that, but I guess that came to your mind.
But I want to do the worst segue possible into a new talking point. But Jamie is a big fan of the Facebook Marketplace.
I am a huge fan of secondhand shopping.
Yes. And so she sent me a picture of a big trampoline.
It looked like it was brand new.
And it kind of was. And so this particular trampoline was about an hour away from here. And we recently just got it. And I brought it there. As soon as I showed up, the person, Stephanie, she immediately said, I recognized who you guys are. I've watched you since the beginning. So sweet, so nice. And she goes, I was so happy that your podcast came back.
I can't even believe that.
Which is nuts, because it had just aired, and she just said that, where it was, she's been following us. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Stephanie for the trampoline, because the kids love it. And, I have all the parts, and it's all set up in the backyard now. And I was really, really pumped about that.
That's half the battle, because Doug, so we went up, we made a whole day of it. First of all, Facebook Marketplace, or even just shopping at the Goodwill. Oh gosh, you can find such great things for such a great deal. This trampoline we got is a big one, and it retails for $500. I could tell that it like really the pictures, I'm like, this doesn't even look like it's been used. And we get up there. So I'm like messaging her like, we got to get this trampoline. And then Doug gets up there and he drops us off at the zoo because so the kids are just busy. And then he goes and unassembles this trampoline.
Yes.
In the hot sun of a Florida summer, unassembles this trampoline. And then one day later, even though he was sick with a cough, he went right outside and reassembled that whole entire trampoline. We did get, indeed, a great deal. That trampoline is beautiful. But I was just like, what a great daddy you are. Because,
thank you.
Yeah, because you were just... And
I wanted to finish it because, the kids were so excited about it.
But he's gotten so much better because before he would, like if we're moving or something, he'll just like take drawers out and have like hardware like here, hardware there. He'll put it in like a candle. Like no joke, he would put hardware in candles. And like that was like his, I was like, Doug, take Ziploc bags and like label it. I mean, neither one of us are that great at organizing, but I'm like, candles, Doug?
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, so it's been fun living in our new house. We are slowly renovating. We have Hendrix's room 100% done. So if you follow on Instagram, then I'm definitely documenting the whole thing. It's oddly way more fun than I ever anticipated. But
it looks great.
Yeah, we're doing good. Hendrix is, very, very happy with his room. His reaction to seeing his room done.
I've never seen him do that before.
He literally, we put his old rug, he has this dinosaur rug, and we put it on the floor, and then I had him close his eyes to do like this big reveal when he gets into his bedroom. And he opens his eyes and he sees the rug on the floor and he just rolls. Yeah. He rolled like a dog all over the rug, like marking his territory, claiming his spot. And it was just really, really sweet. That was obviously before we had any furniture in there and whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, so next week we have gotten so many requests to have Big Doug and Bonnie on.
Yes, and my parents are always open and willing.
Yeah, they love coming on the podcast.
To come in and share.
Are you kidding me? Bonnie loves it when people recognize her and they're like, "Hey, are you Doug's mom?" And she's like, "Yes." And she just loves when people come up and say hi to her. Yeah. We all do. We absolutely love meeting you guys. So if you're ever out and cause sometimes I get someone will message me after and say, "I saw you, but I didn't want to interrupt you." I'm like, "Oh, I wish you would have said hi." Yeah. So anyways, Big Doug and Bonnie are coming on tomorrow and I'm really excited to talk to them next week on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to talk to them. We haven't talked to them since Doug has come out of the closet, so to speak, with the whole drug addiction. Yeah. I'm really curious.
To be interested to get their point of view.
Like what's it like when your son had this terrible secret that he was hiding and he was struggling with this addiction for long?
This might be another emotional one.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see. I mean, I'm already kind of like just thinking about it. But needless to say, thank you so much for listening and for those 5-star reviews. Truly, they mean the whole wide world to us. They really do. I mean, it just means so much to know that what we're doing is somewhat meaningful, at least. And so we're going to keep doing it then, and we will see you next week.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.